Hi guys, it's Vesna here. Welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I'm welcoming you to the heart of Vojvodina where tradition meets modernity. Today we're exploring the charming town of Bački Petrovac and the vibrant city of Novi Sad. So let's hit the road and dive into some Serbian and Slovak culture. So first up, we're in Bački Petrovac, which is a small town with a big history. It's located just outside of Novi Sad, and Bački Petrovac is the home to a significant Slovak community. In fact, over 30% of the population here are Slovaks, and you can see the influence of their rich culture everywhere you look. If you love food, Bački Petrovac is the place to be. The local Slovak cuisine is incredible with specialties like the famous Petrovska klobasa and various desserts. They all make their way onto every table. So don't miss the chance to try these flavorful dishes. So I start off this video with going through the town. I start at the beginning of the town if you're coming from Novi Sad, and this is the canal. And you can go for a walk here. Some places aren't cut, like the grass isn't cut. Some places it is. This is right by a fisherman's club, so it's quite clean over here, and people do have fishing competitions over here as well. This is my family enjoying some time over here. Don't recommend you swimming here. It's not the cleanest, as you can tell with all the algae, but definitely good for fishing, sport fishing. And if you just want to come for a walk, you can drive up here or you can walk. Then I take you down to another place where you can go fishing. This is kind of like a man-made lake. It used to be a big dump and they cleaned it up a little while ago and made it into a fishing lake for sport fishing. So they flooded it with fish. And they also made a little park for kids across the street from here. So it's a really nice place that you can come with your family if you want to go around the lake or if you just want to go to the park. If you do want to fish, you do need to get a license, and you can get it at some of the local vendors. It changes, so I don't want to give you some now because it may change by the time we get there. So one of the highlights of Bački Petrovac is its peaceful countryside. So it's perfect for a relaxing stroll or even a bike ride. There is a bike path that runs pretty much through the entire town. So if you wanted to walk or go on that path, it's safe and it's a nice smooth ride. So I'm going to take a pause from talking and I'll just play some music, and you can see me strolling from one end of the town to the other, and I'll stop and mention a few things as I go along. So I just wanted to zoom in over here on this house because I love the mixture of, I think this is Austro-Hungarian architecture, like from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, I think, but I'm not sure. But anyway, there's a mix of this really old architecture to some really new and modern architecture, then mixed in with some traditional kind of like Slovak blue colors like you can see here. And then you have those block buildings that kind of remind you of Eastern Europe. So you will notice on my walk that there are quite a few houses that are kind of run down and in need of repair. And this just shows to the times that Bački Petrovac is experiencing right now. A lot of the younger people have moved to different parts of Europe to work, to live, to study, whichever. So a lot of the houses are kind of not well taken care of. Like this one is abandoned now. I did hear that somebody did purchase it. So hopefully it'll get nice and picked up, nice and cleaned up. The town used to be quite vibrant before, but there's just a lot less younger people in town than there used to be. So a lot of the houses are just aging and not being taken care of. But the ones that people do live in are very well taken care of. So here I was just passing by the soccer fields on one side, and then on the across the street over here are some like tennis courts, basketball courts, and a stadium that you can watch different things, different activities. It belongs to the school, I believe. They'll have concerts there sometimes as well. Now over here, there used to be a really cool kind of hall where they had, like a nightclub during the weekend. You could have weddings there. And then it used to be a big open area and you could have concerts there. Unfortunately, it's one of the other things that there's a fight over ownership and basically no one's taking care of it. So this little part over here where the soccer fields are is okay. And then the actual hall inside there is not, which is really too bad. Again, it was I have many fond memories of there. And so I continue walking and I'm getting more closer to the center of the town. Here, as I pass this kind of not abandoned, I don't want to say abandoned because it's not abandoned, but anyway, as I pass this building here, there's going to be a barbecue, kind of traditional Serbian barbecue restaurant on the left hand side. And then across the street from there, there is a cafe that you can visit. There's a butcher, an ice cream place, I think. No, not an ice cream place. I'm wrong. A bakery and a pharmacy. So if you needed one before you get to the center of the city, there's a pharmacy there as well. There's a few pharmacies in the town. And then across there's another restaurant where you can host festivities as well. And here sometimes you'll see people during market days or even just during the days selling at this little parking lot here, selling various fruits and vegetables. And here's that path that I was talking about just to the right of me where you can ride your bike and it's nicely paved. So this is that barbecue restaurant. And yeah, so you'll see lots of tractors and lots of trucks on these roads because the town is a farming town. So many people in the town have land that they farm. So just like the town is surrounded by farmlands. And then trucks are here because this is a main road throughway from the major cities to other major cities, and even um, to other parts of Serbia and Europe. So kind of, one of these roads leads to the other. But anyway, so I'll continue on with my walk. So I'm just passing the high school here and heading down again into the center of the town. I'm still walking. So this is where the bike path ends. So you'll have to meet with people riding on bikes on the sidewalk, because as you can see with those big trucks, it's not the safest to ride on the road. So just be careful of that. I did have a little accident here, right at this little opening here, because I was riding my bike and somebody bolted out from the high school and we smashed into each other. And there's again 2 stores here, one across the street and one on this left-hand side here. The one on the left-hand side has more like goods for your home. Sorry, this is the high school. And the other one has groceries. Now, walking through the town, you can see many cafes and shops along the main road, and you can also see some of the local Slovak culture as well as you walk through. All of the signs are in Slovak and in Serbian, and in English, so it's really easy to understand kind of how to get around. There's lots of bakeries, there's one ice cream shop, there's a couple grocery stores, but like I said, when you are walking, you have to be careful. Lots of bike traffic as well. So you must be careful as you're walking through. Walking by on the main road, you'll come across the elementary school, which is off to the right, a Catholic church, as well as a high school. And then you will come to an more open area with a little channel that goes through the town. And on the left-hand side, just past where we are right now, will be the market, which takes place on Tuesdays and Fridays. In the summer, usually the Fridays is the bigger market and the Tuesdays is a smaller market, but you can get local goods, local produce, and some things that come from outside of Serbia as well, with local vendors selling it. So it's a great way to support the local economy. Right here where I'm passing by is where the old publishing house was, as well as an old city hall, which unfortunately is decrepit and they haven't been fixing it up. I think there's kind of ownership issues, so nobody wants to take ownership of actually fixing it up. And it's actually one of the historical landmarks in the town. As you can see, there's windows broken and it's just in really rough shape. But I believe it used to be not an old city hall, an old courthouse. So here you'll pass by a cafe and you can see all the refrigerators are out because they are getting ready for the Slovak festival. And all of these cafes will be full and with some live music and food vendors that will be selling treats and probably sausage and some barbecue for everyone to enjoy. So this is where I was talking about where the little canal runs through, or the little channel runs through, not the canal was the big thing. And you can see that Bački Petrovac sign. If you turn left there, you will go to the local open air market. And then on the right here where the Cyrillic is, just kind of up ahead, is the local ice cream shop. They have the best ice cream. So if you're ever in this town, even if you're driving by, stop there. There's some parking and get yourself some ice cream. You will not be disappointed. So they have some cultural things here on each side of the sign for you to see some historical heritage of the town. And these signs are actually fairly new. I went back recently and they had them now, but they didn't have them, like a few years ago. So it's kind of neat to see that. And they are lit up at night. So this is the ice cream shop that I was talking about. And then if you just continue on, there's the one and only traffic light in the town. That's it. So that's why it's a quaint and relaxing and quiet town to visit, with surprisingly lots of Airbnbs. So if you're ever needing anything, there's lots of places that you can stay. I've stayed with Echo Apartments. So if you want any reviews on that, I can give that to you as well. I have family there, so I also stay with family, but that's the place that I stayed one time because I needed air conditioning and my family did not have air conditioning. So there's a gallery of a local artist here that you can see, and all of this stuff will be in full bloom during the Slovak festival, which takes place actually the second weekend in August every year. And it celebrates all Slovak culture in Vojvodina, which is very, very fun to see. Basically, there's going to be lots of dancing and heritage and music, some amazing food, and it's one of the largest festivals of its kind in the region. And like I said, everyone from all over the world comes, and it's very interesting to see because the town kind of livens up. It's quite quiet, and then all of a sudden it has an influx of tourists. But at the festival, you can experience Slovak music, dance performers, and there's also usually a live concert for free for everyone to do of various singers. Sometimes they'll be Slovak, sometimes they'll be Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian singers. And it's just a traditional, like a traditional celebration of Slovak culture. Now, you can't miss some of the great things that you can taste at this festival. There is another market that takes place during the festival in the main city square, where you can buy all sorts of cakes. Now, the Slovaks are known for their Slovaks in Vojvodina are known for their fantastic and extravagant cakes. If you have a chance to visit, make sure you try one of these cakes. They are delicious, and you can get some sauerkraut soup that's made by the women's club in the town as well there. You may have to order it in advance because it goes by fast, but it's very delicious. And again, as I'm walking by, you can see various different cafes. On the right hand side over here is the city hall if you ever needed anything, and behind there is a movie theater. And then behind the traffic light, if you continue kind of going straight, the road ends and it goes left and right. If you go right and follow the road, so right and then left, you will go to the police station where you do have to go and report that you have come. So that way they know that you are in the city. This is still an old rule, but I always do it just in case, because they can ask you at the border when you're leaving whether you have documentation that you've reported yourself to the police. So I always do that the first thing that I come. Now, you can't just go to the police station. Just beyond the police station, there's a place where you get the forms, and then they fill everything out for you, and then you take that to the police with some ID and with the person or the place that you're staying at. Sometimes if you stay at hotels, they will take care of, or even some Airbnbs, they will take care of this for you. So you might want to check in with them if you are staying there. Now, this is everywhere in Serbia, not just in Bački Petrovac. So again, I'm walking to the right of the traffic light. There's a cafe at the corner here. It was closed when we were there, but it's reopened since. And that's the back of the city hall there. And that's my cousin. And they just have parking here. And then on the left-hand side, there's a grocery store if you ever need anything. And also on this street here, if you go to the right, is the Slovak church, the evangelical church, as well as the pharmacy and the urgent care if you needed any medical assistance. So that'll all be on this street to the right here. And as you can see, the cafe is closed, so it's on the same street as this cafe. If you just go straight, it'll be on the left-hand side. So I did do a walking tour pretty much from the beginning of the town, from Novi Sad, to pretty much the end of the town, and I think it took me maybe 40 minutes, so not too long. And I'll just put some music on. This is that grocery store I was talking about, with another few shops over here, including, oh, I want to mention this one, including a little organic health food store. So if you are needing things like from home that you may not get at the local grocery store, they might have it here, like any, flax seeds, chia seeds, all the like. And there's another apartments for rent. So I'll put some music on while I keep walking. So this is the street that I was talking about. The reason I'm going the other way is just because I was walking, but this is the street where the police station is, and the other place where you can get the cards. I did not want to record in front of the police station. I'm just not sure what the rules are, so I didn't want to do that. Now, on the street where I said there is a urgent care and the church, There's also two banks and a exchange place if you're needing to exchange any money. And this street will actually lead you out to a different city. So I'm almost near the edge of the town. I was actually walking to another park. My family was meeting me there. I just needed to go for a walk, so I wanted to walk all the way there. So again, enjoy. So here's a little place that has horses, and there's a little park for kids over there. as well. This is near the edge of the town, just before you get into the other town, which is called Kulpin. And here, I'm switching gears now a little bit. I am going to the market. It is a Friday just before or during when the start of the Slovak festival is. And I just wanted to show you different things that you can purchase here, just so you get an example of how big this market is, or how little, depending on where you're from. So it was just a quick tour. I just didn't feel super comfortable recording people, so I just wanted you to kind of get a glimpse of some of the things you can buy. Now we're switching over to kind of like a carnival that comes here, a little fair. They bring in all these rides and different things for kids to do. It's a little bit pricey, but it was a lot of fun. The kids had fun. I had them go on some of the things, not on every one of the rides, and they had a blast. So I remember going to these as a kid, so I wanted them to experience the same, and I think they enjoyed it. Oh, for sure they come during the Slovak festival, but I'm not sure if they come during the other festivals that they have throughout the year. But for the Slovak festival, they for sure come, because this is where a lot of the tourists from that, people who have moved out from Bački Petrovac come back to this festival to enjoy it, because it's a great way to kind of have a little reunion with everyone. So I know that they're there for sure then, just not sure about the other festivals. So we're here. We head on to the other place where they host kind of like a market of handmade goods and not handmade goods. There was a lot of not handmade goods, which I was a little bit disappointed. I thought there'd be more stuff, but there was tons of food here too. So this is just on the main street. It's kind of the pedestrian street that they have, and it's just past the ice cream store. So they've set up a stage for the dancing and various Slovak festivities, and then these are all the vendors that you can shop from. We did come at opening, but I guess we should have come about, I don't know, 20 minutes after openings, because people were just setting up still, even though it was supposed to start at a certain time. But anyway, you can see all the different things that you can buy. If you are planning on buying cakes and stuff, I suggest you come early so you can buy them right away, because it does get quite hot. So I don't know what happens to those cakes. But anyway, you can buy some handmade goods, some food. These are some traditional tablecloths. And there's Slovak vendors from all over Vojvodina, so not just from Bački Petrovac, which is kind of neat. And then you can also watch a very famous soccer tournament, which is the fat players versus the skinny players. It's so inappropriate nowadays, but it's just tradition. It's always been on. So we did go and watch a game. Here's little highlights of the game. And people get quite into it, and they kind of start to come and leave. Not a lot of people were watching, but then people will come and some people will leave. But anyway, it was an interesting game to watch. So that was it of our tour of Bački Petrovac. Now we head on out and we head into Novi Sad. So it's actually Serbia's second largest city and one of the most exciting cultural hubs in the region. But before we explore the city, we can't forget one of the biggest events that make Novi Sad a must visit destination. They have the Exit Festival, which takes place in July. I did not go to this festival, but it's a huge music festival that takes place on the fortress in Novi Sad. It takes place yearly. Lots of famous musicians come, and it's just a great place to visit. So here I didn't do a full walking tour of Novi Sad just because it was very hot and the city is big. It's not small like my town, but here I'm just in front of a market. Now you can always park your car anywhere on the street that there's parking, but you do have to pay. There are signs every couple of feet for you to send a text message for how long you need the car for, and then it takes it off of your credit of your phone. You can also buy the parking passes at any of the little kiosks that sell newspapers, like newspaper stands, but that might be a little bit trickier. But well, actually, no, that'll be easier than if you're trying to do a phone, just because it depends on whether you have a local number or not. Here's the center of the town with some churches and some buildings. This is all walking, and I'll just play some music so you can enjoy the sights. So here you'll see some downed trees and some broken light posts. It's because we had a massive storm. It was kind of like a tornado blew through both Novi Sad and Bački Petrovac, so there's a lot of damage done. So they're just cleaning up from the damage. And here I'm just on the outskirts of the Danube Park, which is another beautiful park. If you have time and you're here, go through a stroll through the park. It's very, very pretty. Unfortunately, it was closed because there were downed trees, so we couldn't go, but if you get a chance, go through. There's some beautiful swans, and it's just a beautiful park. And this is where the pedestrian area ends. This is called the Danube Street, Dunavska ulica. So this is where the pedestrian street ends. I kind of led you down the streets from walking basically from one end of the pedestrian side to the other. And now we're kind of walking back towards where we were before. We did start off, like I said, by the market. It's called Futurska Piazza. That's where we started off with, and then walked over this way. So here we headed back into the market area, and I just wanted to show you how big this market is. It's actually quite huge. In the summer, it is hard to walk through this because it is very, very hot. There's tons of clothes. There's a big food section. There's household items, toys, um, anything you can imagine. Tools, anything you can imagine. And here we're walking back to the car, towards the car, down that main street. And I did just want to show you that this is another market. It's called the Fisherman's Market, that you can get some foods. It has some goods too, but it's not as big as the other one, and it's on the opposite end of the city. And beyond the festivals and all of the markets, Novi Sad is actually full of history and beauty. So a visit to the famous Petrovaradin fortress is a must. I mentioned that fortress before. And you're going to get panoramic views of the Danube River and the city below. So it's a perfect spot to relax and take in the beauty of Novi Sad. However, the cafe that you saw here is quite expensive. So be prepared to spend a hefty amount. And in the water, you can see kind of cement blocks hanging, like kind of sticking out of the water. That's where some of the old bridges used to be that got bombed, I believe. So those are just remnants of that. I was here right after the NATO bombing in 1999, so just after that, and the bridges were still down in the water. It was quite sad to see. But the city has revived itself and rebuilt itself, and it's back to its former glory. And you can see new bridges, and you can see this clock tower that's also famous over here. Hopefully I have some footage of it. The unique thing about the clock tower is that the hands are reversed. The hour hand is long and the minute hand is short. So these are just footages I have of nighttime from a different day, but those are just the only two pictures that I have of the tower and the view from the fortress. But anyway, we continued on until we left, and then we drive back and we just walk beside the water on the other side, and I wanted to show you some of that footage as well. So here's just a view from the other side of the river, just beside the water. So that's all there is to this video. You had some beautiful scenery from the peaceful streets of Bački Petrovac. You had some lively scenery from the streets of Novi Sad. The region offers a rich cultural experience that you won't find anywhere else. So pack your bags and come discover the beauty and traditions of Vojvodina and its various languages, people, and historic sites. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more travel adventures.